What's up, everybody? My name is Tru. I am here with the lovely Domo Monster and Super James. Welcome to Green Room Radio.
Yes, another edition with some legends on the show today.
We got some legends on the show today. Two very special guests. We got DJ Swamp, and we also got Dennis Nahat in the building tonight.
Pretty crazy
What's
to
up,
get
guys?
them both here together at one time. We gotta just
yeah,
off the top from that story. It's crazy.
Yeah, right from the rip, Swamp. You got a really interesting story here with Dennis. That we need to get to the bottom of this. So what is your relationship with Dennis? How did you guys link? And I know you've mentioned something about this is 30 years later.
Yeah. Years ago, I was breakdancing in the Cleveland Ballet. I was a professional dancer, as I told you, at 19, and I, tried out. There was 500 people tried out breakdancing for the Cleveland Ballet's production of Us.
So who broke down? Who got in and was that you, Dennis? Were you in charge of picking who made it and who didn't make it?
Correct. I was the choreographer and at that time the founding artistic director of the Cleveland Ballet, which later became Cleveland San Jose Ballet. And I did a production in 74, 75, and 76 for the bicentennial of a cavalcade of American dances from the early square dance. And then every decade I would add the fad. And so it was breakdancing time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I auditioned a lot of guys and Swamp.
So I know this is 30 years later, but when you got the call from Swamp, did you remember who he was?
Sure.
I always wonder. I saw that there was such a big group of people, and probably through all the auditions.
No, but I worked with him. After we selected the people that could be, I couldn't have everybody in it, so I selected like a dozen guys and a dozen women at the same time. So we had two good sections of guys and girls dancing.
Yeah,
and made a whole big beautiful section for them.
And was it all the what is that called, b-boy style dancing, or was it a little bit of everything?
I think a little bit of everything. And these guys came in with stuff for me. They came in with
ready to go.
Their material that I could choose and pick and edit and put together something. You got to use the talent that comes in.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy because I've known Swamp for about 10 years. He reminded me when we saw each other the other day. It had been 10 years since we seen each other.
Well, you know me for about 18.
Oh yeah, I know him for a long time, but we somehow lost 10 years of.
Sure.
Well, we were on the phone.
Yeah, we'd be on the phone, but we just
didn't realize it had been 2011 the last time I'd probably actually seen each other.
Yeah, and what was interesting was when we did a show with Swamp yesterday that was phenomenal. And what was interesting about that is what were you saying, Swamp? It was 1 year ago.
1 year exactly, because last year I played Hawaii. My last show was Hawaii on February 29th, leap year day, and then this was March 1st. Which was technically exactly a year.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
So what did you see here in young Ron Keyes that made you select him?
He had an individual ability and a good look. I mean, his movement ate up space, and that's what I like. When young people come in with these abilities from God, then it's a lot of it's not even trained. It's their own ability, and all I did was harness it and put it together with a bunch of other people, and they literally stole the show, brought down the house. The rest of the company, professional ballet dancers and dancers, didn't have a chance. Once these kids came on the stage, that was
he had told me a story when I was working with him about 10 years ago. He was saying that when he was out with Beck, he would break dance and he'd go out there and do head spins. And when you look at Swamp now, he's a really big guy, and I'm just like, I'm trying to imagine him doing a head spin. And so when I seen this video, I was shocked. At the same time, I can firmly say after seeing that video that Mr. Swamp here was the man from Cleveland.
Was the man.
Long before Machine Gun Kelly.
What were you getting into before you went to this point? Was it street dancing, or obviously you were active in it. What was that like for you?
Everything, making rap music and DJing. I was going on the college radio shows when I was 15 years old. Still in high school, making 4-track tape mixes,
Yeah.
and things like that, and making demos for people, and going on the radio, doing shows and stuff. I started. I was kind of doing everything: the breakdancing, the DJing, and the rapping. The DJing is what ultimately took off.
Yeah.
But I'm still. I mean, I've always still been real interested in breakdancing. There's breakdancing in a lot of my music videos, like "Worship the Robots," "Invasion of the B-Girls," 1 and 2. I filmed the best B-girl breakdancers in 3D and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I plan on doing more. Breakdancing is about to be in the Olympics, so it's just
Holy
evolving
cow.
so crazy now that I have a lot of ideas for more music videos that incorporate breakdancing and evolving.
So it's just kind of good timing. It feels like with all this going on, you were doing a little bit of everything, but then you ended up to audition and
that was my peak though of my dance career.
Yeah.
I peaked at 19.
How long did that go? How long was this show on?
Well,
how
the
many
show
shows you did?
ran a week.
But there was like 9 shows. Though,
Yeah,
right?
it was a lot of shows for that. A 3,300 seat theater filled every performance.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
a
wow.
lot.
Yeah,
for
it was
Cleveland.
huge. And the governor was there, and
Everybody was
who
there
was
to
the
see you guys.
governor then? Was it Dennis?
George Voinovich.
That's right, George Voinovich.
Good memory.
And
See, I tell people all the time, and I'd have to ask Dennis if he agrees with me on it. When I see people in arts and entertainment, I tell people all the time, you either have it or you don't.
All right.
It's very simple, and I'm like, this
He
guy.
had it.
He had it.
Not only did he
100%.
have the whereabouts to move and to do things that nobody else could do, but he brought in music, and he said he would change the music for me. He said, "Let's add a few things and let's fix this."
wow.
And he brought in a new tape.
yeah, I forgot about that. I thought I did it when I listened to
sure did.
the video again, and I was like, I think that's me scratching back
Yeah.
then too. And I asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, you brought in that tape." And,
Yeah, see, I
mixed it up.
I put Swamp a little bit in the diva category. so back then, so when you were running it, like, okay, this is my show. Was he coming in as the diva, or
No, I mean,
No, he was just?
talent is talent. That's what it is.
It
and,
is, yeah.
and you can call them divas, whatever. But I always said to my dancers and artists, if you're going to come in here, you got to be really something. If you're going to be a diva,
Oh yeah,
and so
for sure.
and of course, that was not the case at all. We worked well together, and I remember taking and learning from him.
Well, it's
that
funny
whole group.
because when he told me, he actually asked me several times. He's like, do you think he'll show up? And I'm like, if he said he's coming, he's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if he's from Detroit. He said he's coming, he's coming. But what was it? Was that odd to get a call when he was looking for this video?
Well, I said hello, and he said, "Ron, it's Dennis. It's Ron Keys from Break." Yeah. I mean,
Just memories clicked right
oh,
away.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I
That's
never
awesome.
forget people,
Yeah.
especially the dancers, because you work so intensely
Right.
with them.
Right.
But and the fact that he was in Phoenix, Arizona, my family now lives in Phoenix, and that he may be coming to Vegas at some point in time. I said, well, listen, you know where I'm at. Call me. And then he said, do you have that tape? And I had no idea I even had the tape, because I thought 30 years later, well, that thing is gone. I mean, I don't have recordings of that. And a lot of moving back and forth across country.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
one point when my company closed in San Jose, everything went missing. People take things, when
Oh,
companies
yeah.
close.
Yeah,
That.
yeah.
Costumes are gone, scenery is gone, videos are gone, music is gone. I said, well, let me dig. And what was it, 2 weeks later or something like that?
Yeah.
At least.
Not even. I think it was pretty quick. I was like. Oh,
Well, I
you
went.
got
I
it?
was right there. And so when you called,
Swamp, talk that way.
I sort of knew where it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I unearthed hundreds of boxes.
So was it in? How did you find it? What format was it
A
in?
VHS.
God.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah,
And
so we got
I
the.
transposed it, and
Let's check out this video
Let's
and
see.
let's see if you guys can guess
the
which
section
one.
is called People.
People. Is that you in the middle, Swamp? Oh yeah, this is. Yeah, when he told me that.
tell all the people, don't go on center stage because you'll slip and fall. Stay away from that spot.
The dead zone.
Well, it was already kind of the ballet dancers put powder on their feet or something.
Rosin.
Is that what it is?
It's rosin makes it sticky.
So yeah, there's a lot of that on. So trying to break dance on that, or
Well, you
at
need the
least
opposite.
spin,
Yeah.
it's kind of rough. I mean, we managed, but
sure
the
did.
wax paper helped with the head spin to get a little more momentum.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So how many people did you audition for this particular show?
All those boys, all those guys, and I would say about 24.
Well, that's how many made it, but like 500 people tried out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for the tryout,
Yeah.
including an old man who was about 69, 70 years old. Old man. Here
See,
I am,
hey,
75.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but I saw a headline one time in Akron, Ohio. Some guy came back for his 5th year senior, but I think he was somewhere in his 50s, and they actually let him play the football or whatever. And we were like, wow, that's nuts.
Pretty brave.
Pretty
Yeah,
bad.
little kids came and elderly people came. So I picked a couple of those too. I said, hey, let's go.
Gotta
Let's make it.
take
So
everybody.
you choreograph with what you got, with the material you have.
So at the time, Swamp, so you were breakdancing, DJing, producing,
rapping.
rapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So how often do you? Because I've seen a lot of your shows. How often do you actually rap live? Like I actually like in the time that we spent doing our show, I never seen you do it. But then last night, you just dropped that new video wearing my mask, and I saw you rap it last night, and I know that's.
Well, whenever it's appropriate, I don't try to force it on nobody. I just
Yeah.
I DJ, and if I do a lot of scratching. I do the magic. I do the fire, and then I throw in some. It's like it keeps changing.
I was gonna say
everything.
I don't think it's a shy thing, but I just never seen you do it, and I see in the videos, and I'm like, you're really good. You're pretty damn good for
Thanks.
somebody who doesn't rap. On the regular.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's some interesting stuff. So when you did find the tape and get it to him. How did you get it off the VHS to the however?
Well, I transposed it from VHS machine to a hard drive, and then I just sent it to him email.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's just nuts to be able to find that
Technology.
after this long.
No, I was
crazy.
Well, 30 years ago, we were told that we could come get a copy on one day. There was
I
one day.
made a bunch of copies for you.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
hey,
but
that's what he
there
says
was a
now.
Crazy blizzard in Cleveland, It was like now, like how Cleveland probably is right now, and we didn't make it, and we kept thinking like, oh well, we'll get a tape from Don. Don went. We'll get a tape from Don, and we never were able to get a hold of anybody, and. Yeah, it was crazy. I ran into some of those other dancers like 5 years later, and I was like, "Do you have a copy?" And they were like, "Nah, do you?" And it was like, "Ah, man, we're never gonna get a copy." And then,
Dude, it's actually insane
Whoa.
because I mean I've traveled the world and I'm not a picture person. I've done a million. I've been in a bunch of pictures. I've done a bunch of video. I don't have nothing to show for it.
Why?
And it's just like what you said. You
Gets
move. You get it. Yeah, I was telling him last night. I said, I had some epic footage of ODB that did a rave for me. I had Eminem at his first rave
Sure.
where I paid him $1,500, and he's actually laying there on a stage with Proof doing a nitrous balloon. and I had it. I was in an apartment and I rented a garage there. And when we left, we just left. And the garage was filled to the brim with all kinds of photos and videos, and it gets left behind. I mean,
Someone's got
Well,
that. Someone's got that content somewhere.
Yeah.
I was running a major ballet company, so I was responsible for its archives and its repertoire.
Where was this ballet company?
It was founded as the Cleveland Ballet in Cleveland, Ohio. It became the 5th largest, most prestigious and advanced company in the country. Then I bedded down with the city of San Jose, California, and we became the only co-venture company. The one company serviced 2 cities on each side of the country, and so we traveled 5 times a year to San Jose and Cleveland.
So did you see a big difference between East Coast and West Coast?
Audiences,
just styles and in the performers?
Well, the company was the same.
Yeah.
I hired all the same dancers, and we were one company that serviced 2 cities.
Oh, so you'd go back and
We'd
forth.
fly
So
back
it's
and forth.
okay.
So
Gotcha.
San Jose would bring us out, and then we did, and then I collaborated with Atlanta Ballet,
Ooh.
and Ballet Nuevo de Mundo de Caracas, of all places. So we were four companies in one for several years,
Wow.
servicing.
And so you
4
had the
major-
same dancers traveling between everyone.
same dancers, and they put their dancers in my company. So at that time, it was impossible to hire 50, 60, 70, 80 dancers. And some of my productions were huge, and they required that many people for that many performances.
Who funded like something like this?
Well, there's foundations like the Coolest Foundations, the Cleveland Foundation, the Gunn Foundation, private contributions from the community. We did
Yeah.
fundraising all the time. It never stopped
So-
for 45 years.
So being that you were in Cleveland and Detroit, which city's the more hardcore city? Because I heard Cleveland's pretty.
Cleveland is pretty advanced in its arts
And its art, yeah.
its support. Detroit was,
Yes.
and I mean, there's more talent coming out of those 2 cities. Probably covers the entire United States with its talent,
Oh yeah.
and everybody from anywhere is from Detroit or Cleveland.
Yeah. Are you a Bone Thugs and Harmony fan?
You have to be.
'Cause that's what I. So now when I think of Cleveland, I think of Bone Thugs and Harmony and DJ Swamp.
Breakdancing.
Well, did you know I was in a group with Lazy Bone way before Bone Thugs?
Really?
I was the
Really?
DJ. Yeah, and
Wow.
not too long after the ballet.
Shout
I
out
was,
to Lazy Bone.
I was DJ for K Chill, who had a local hit, "The Boom Booms in My Trunk," and that was Cleveland was his city for like one summer, and he was a big deal. And Lazy Bone was our hype man.
Wow.
At like 16 years old, and we opened for the Ghetto Boys, X Clan, Chub Rock, Real Roxanne,
Really?
and I remember, Lazy Bone was only like 16 years old, but he snuck in like a bottle of Wild Irish Rose, and like got all drunk, and we did the show. The show was great, but
So did you guys go to the same? Was it the same high school, or you guys just lived in the same area?
No, I was out of high school at that point. I was like 19 or 20, and Lazy Bone was probably about 16 or 17, and K Chill was probably 19, and but the guy who that Faces of Death, Bone Enterprise, Faces of Death, that was on the same label as K Chill, and K Chill was the big deal on the label, Stony Burke, and the same guy, Kermit, who owned the label, put out, after he put out K Chill, the next group he put out was Bone Enterprise, and that was the Faces of Death tape.
Wow.
And so when Bone went to L.A. and got signed by Eazy-E to Ruthless Records,
Mm-hmm.
that
How did that happen? Did they just? I mean, did they have a connection with Easy before they
So-
went out there, or did they just go out there?
they just went out there, and they somebody knew where Tone Loc lived, and they knocked on Tone Loc's door. And
Was he doing the wild thing?
They
Probably.
Tone Loc just looked at them like they were crazy or something, and then they got a hold of a phone number or something and kept calling Ruthless Records. And
I was gonna say,
somebody had
I was gonna tell these youngsters, Super James here and
This guy.
Domo Monster, that when you're from Detroit and you're from Cleveland and you want to get in touch with somebody, you get in touch with that person
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
every time.
well, anyways, they did
It's-
talk to
it's the
Eazy-E on the
persistent.
phone, and then
So they actually got him on the phone.
they got him on the phone, and Crazy Bone rapped for him, and Easy said something about like, y'all from Cleveland? I'm actually going to do a show in Cleveland like next week or something, but maybe I'll holler at y'all when I get back or something. And they were like, we got to get back to Cleveland and go to that show or something, and
Yeah.
they ended up like getting a hold of him at the show.
It's crazy
And then
that they
rapped
had
for him, and
yeah.
they were like, he was like, you guys are the guys that I was talking to on the phone, and then they all rapped for him, and then he was like, yeah, all right, so what do you guys want to do? You ready to go to L.A.? And they were like, yeah. He was like, you want me to buy you some plane tickets? And they were like, they had never flown. They were like, nah, we'll take the bus. And they're like, he bought them.
Not doing
so
that.
they got them bus
No
tickets. And they,
Yeah, you know what? I think Busy Bone. I've done so many shows with Bone. I don't think Busy Bone flies still to this day. and I think he's always having, I don't know what they did when they went out of the country, but I know that Busy Bone was based out of Seattle for a while, and I did a show with him in Florida. And yeah, he drove. He said no flights.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Well-
that's been like that the whole time, but
Yeah. Well, anyways, though, I guess like they rode the Greyhound back to L.A. and
sounds like
we're
Domo.
writing all the rhymes for Creeping on a Come Up on the Greyhound bus the whole 6 days or whatever it takes to get from Cleveland to L.A. on the Greyhound.
Oh my God,
And,
6 days! Holy cow!
But they said they were happy the whole time. They were like stoked because
they knew where they were going.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Who wouldn't? You know, and at the same time, maybe that gave them.
Who did you? It's a surprise that they put Crazy on the phone with them because don't they consider Busy Bone? I guess the voice of Bone. I mean, or is it always
I think
been?
Busy answered the phone and handed the phone to Crazy and said rap. And the thing about it was, if you listen to Bone Enterprise Faces of Death, there's only one song where they rap like Bone, and that's Crazy Bone doing the style. The rest of the time, they're pretty much rapping like Onyx or something, like pretty normal.
The
not the
delivery's
Bone,
way different.
not the it's regular rapping,
Yeah.
not the style that they came with that Bone Thugs and Harmony is known for.
Yeah.
So, anyways, when they did that, the one verse, I think it's Poetry in Motion, from Faces of Death. The verse that Crazy Bone did on there, that was that weird style. That's what he kicked to him on the phone, and that's what sold it. So I think they just knew that they knew themselves that was the
What
style
to roll with, yeah.
and
Yeah.
so but anyways though, like I was saying, Lazy had got drunk at the Real Roxanne show and jumped up on stage and like started like dancing with her and stuff, and security pulled him off, and K-Chill got mad at him and like took off because he was his ride. He came up to me. I wasn't even DJ Swamp then. My name was Psycho One, and he came up to me. He was like, "Psycho, they left me, man. You got to give me a ride home." So I gave him a ride all the way home to like 99th and St. Clair, like in my Chevette, and he was rapping for me the whole time. And I did see it. I was just like, wow, I didn't realize you were so good, because he was just our hype man.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I didn't like the name Lazy Bone. I was just like,
What is
we
that?
you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know. But, and then when I saw Bone Enterprise would come to the studio, they were on like a posse cut that I scratched on for K-Chill. Like this was in 92, like years before Creeping on a Come Up came out. And, I remember I'd go to Popeyes with them across the street in the studio, and it was just 4 of them then. Flesh and Bone wasn't part of it yet. But when they signed with Eazy-E, I asked Kermit, like, what's the deal with that? Like, I mean, do you get paid for like signing Ruthless? He's like, I don't get a dime, but that whole contract is a breach of contract. They're signed to my label, and I guess that's why they changed from Bone Enterprise to Bone Thugs and Harmony, because he owned that Bone Enterprise name. And then that Faces of Death, like after the Ruthless, Creeping on a Come Up came up, he re-released that that Faces of Death and sold like crazy, and was just like, hey, you're not gonna get none of that money because you're lucky that I even let you sign to Eazy-E.
Oh man, that's crazy. So Dennis, did you know what went on with Swamp after your time with him?
I
in the
sort of
dance?
knew during the time. Yeah, a lot of the guys would talk, and he mentioned a few things, but I had no idea he was going in that direction.
Did other members of this class and stuff? I mean, have you been in contact with anybody?
Nobody.
No, just
No.
just
What
old
about
Ronnie.
you, Swamp? Have you talked to anybody from that? No.
Oh well, one is like my best friend, Mike. He made it too, and I talk to him all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're going from
Shout out Mike Matero.
from that, and then let's jump to the DMC stuff, man. That was your first time in DMC, right? When you won.
Yeah.
So that's a big jump from the breakdancing. Now you're just DJ battle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started.
I know you were DJing anyways,
Hey,
but I'm just saying.
Swamp, can I get you to scoot back a little bit?
Sure.
I'm hearing we're having camera difficulties because you're blocking out little Domo monster over here.
My bad.
It's all good. Well, okay, yeah, go to the. You said the DMC battles.
Yeah. I sent some DMC video as well. But so how was that jump? Where did that come in for you? You just.
I actually started going to Detroit, hanging out with DJ Shotgun, who ended up and Lynn Swan. Lynn Swan scratched on Eminem's first the Slim Shady LP, and Shotgun and Lynn Swan were the 12 Tech Mob, and they were the first ones that ever gave me DMC videos, and that was in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a whole bunch of DMC videos up in Detroit. Shotgun went on to be Goody Mob's DJ, and yeah.
And Goody Mob is who?
Atlanta.
No, but what's his
Dungeon Family.
what's his other name though? The
Goody Mob?
the lead singer.
CeeLo.
CeeLo. Yeah,
CeeLo.
CeeLo.
really?
Shout out to CeeLo. Where's he been?
He's actually out here somewhere.
Is he?
Yeah, he has a residency that obviously got canceled because of COVID. But yeah, he was about to start one this last year.
But yeah, they got me the videos, and then there was a phone number at the end credits of the DMC videos, and I started kind of religiously ordering them as they came out. Like every year, I was kind of watching it, so I saw the evolution of DJing.
When did that start? When was the first DMC battle?
The first one was in 1986. I don't know if there's video of that, or they definitely didn't sell videos of it, but I went back and bought like 89 and 90. Those were like the years that DJ Aladdin won and Qbert won in 1981.
Yeah, didn't I've always heard this thing. I mean, I don't know exactly how it goes, but didn't Qbert win so many consecutively that they actually stopped letting him?
No, it's kind of a what actually.
Shout out to Qbert, by the way.
What actually happened is Qbert got as far as me. He won the USA, and then the World Championships was the first year they had the team battle in 1992, but they were the only team that entered in the USA, and they won. And then they went against a bunch of other teams in
Scratch Pickles, right? Scratch Pickles.
Well,
or was that before that?
It was called the Rocksteady DJs before they became the Scratch Pickles.
Oh, okay.
Or they might have been two different names. They entered the contest as the Rocksteady DJs, and then they defended it as the Dream Team.
Team, yeah.
Yeah, and
But they took Apollo out of the group.
Huh?
That was when Apollo wasn't. It was just him and Mixmaster Mike, right? Dream Team.
Apollo had joined Bradford Marcellus's touring band or something like that, and so they won 2 years in a row. But I guess there was what I've heard is that DJs didn't want to enter solo and compete against teams.
Yeah.
So they eliminated the team battle. They said you could come back individually and compete, but you can't be a team.
Yeah.
And that's what ended it.
And what year was that?
1994.
Okay.
Well, it was not. They technically won 92 and 93, but 93 was held in 94, and it was kind of like a year skip.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when I won, it was technically, it says 95, 96, but I don't try to act like I won twice. But theirs is 92, 93, 94, but they won twice.
Okay. That makes sense. And then he did the one solo. The first one
In
was
91.
Solo. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did so I know with these when artists are coming up, they're obviously scoping out the whole DMC scene to pick up a tour DJ. How did you come into contact with Beck?
Well, so in 1992, I won this Cleveland. It was Cleveland's biggest DJ contest they had ever had, called Rap Fest 92. They had a rap battle and a DJ battle, and I won the DJ battle, and it was covered in Source magazine and all this and that, and I couldn't believe I won, and it was a big deal in Cleveland, and I was thinking this is it. I'm on. I got booked to do a show in like Syracuse, and got a residency DJing in a club in Pittsburgh, but that was it. That was all that led to.
What was your DJ name at that time?
Psycho One.
Psycho One.
Yeah, but there were too many psychos, and it was like, Lords of the Underground had that song Psycho, and it just seemed like it was psychos. It was just too many psychos.
Did you call yourself something as a dancer? Was it?
No.
It was just Ron.
No, I was in different groups, but I don't think I had a b-boy name.
Yeah, because what was that? What is you said it
I was-
earlier? The
I
Rock
was
Steady
Psycho
crew.
1 DJ Psycho 1 at 15 years old. So it was actually like really like deep to me to change my name to Swamp.
It's a long time.
But people liked it right away. Like everybody started calling me Swamp.
What year was that?
People didn't like saying Psycho.
Yeah,
Because you won DMC as Swamp, right?
A Swamp.
Yeah. So
that was in 1996.
Yeah.
And so after I had won the 1992 one, and I just thought everything was going to fall into my lap, I was not going to let that happen after I won in 1996. So I started sending out tapes to everyone, like of the contest and, this and that. And I had the choice. I could have DJ'd for Beck, Kid Rock, or Insane Clown Posse. I had those gigs in the bag, and I chose Beck because Beck was the obvious choice because he was already a platinum artist.
Right.
Kid Rock
just coming up.
wasn't
Just
really
coming up.
anybody yet, and Insane Clown Posse wasn't really anything yet. But in hindsight, I couldn't have made a wrong decision because all those artists
Ended
went
up
platinum.
being yeah.
And I mean, I still have kind of worked with all of them too. I've worked with Twisted, and I performed at Insane Clown Posse's Gathering of the Juggalos, and hung out with Shaggy 2 Dope, riding around on golf carts and stuff. So it's all love. And I did scratch on Kid Rock's album, Devil Without a Cause, that sold 15 million copies, and actually met Eminem at the studio that day.
Wow.
But when Eminem was, nobody knew who it was.
Yeah,
A
like
year before anybody even,
Oh,
before
yeah,
any
I
Hi
remember
My
the
Name
time
Is or
period.
anything.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said it back, when I booked him for my rave, he was just doing raves, and I didn't even know what a rave was. Like I wasn't into electronic music, and I was like, yo, I'll give you $1,500 to do this thing, but he already had My Name Is, but he was just doing little local shows, but it hadn't popped yet.
Yeah, another funny thing though about when I was sending out those tapes to everybody, anybody like
How were you getting their addresses?
on the back of my records, I would see like if I saw an address to a record company, I sent. So here's the thing: I had a Death Row Records, and I sent it to Death Row, and I specifically wanted to. I guess maybe I sent it to like the Lady of Rage fan club. So I went to Eminem's record release party at the House of Blues when that record came out. And I don't even remember how I got on the list, but it was kind of an exclusive thing, or at least the area I was in, because I was like
always exclusive with him.
Upstairs, yeah, I was upstairs, like where Dr. Dre and everybody was, but that's kind of like the restaurant up there too. So I got like a table, and it was packed, so people just kind of like, they see an empty chair at your table, they're gonna just sit down or whatever, even if you're eating or whatever. And anyways, this girl sits down at my table along with her friends or whatever, and I was like, "You're Rage," and she was like, "You know who I am?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I like mentioned that I had sent the tape, and we got to talking, and then I just kind of mentioned it or whatever, and she was like, "You know what? I remember that. I was gonna either get you or this other girl to DJ for me," and Suge and everybody thought it was a good idea, and then the whole thing happened where like Dre left and this and that, and it just didn't happen. But I was amazed that the tape had actually got to her eyes.
Yeah, no, that's what you always wonder, because I mean, man, I know when I was traveling, people would flood us with these little tapes and all kinds of things. But so how did it get in Beck's hands? Where was Beck from?
So Beck was Beck was from LA. I did send it to the Dust Brothers. I did send it to Geffen Records, and but ultimately, like, what I like to think happened was I had heard he was coming to town, and I was like, man, if I could just get him this tape, I know he'd want me to be his DJ, because I'm be perfect for that, like 2 turntables and a microphone song, performing live. And some girl was like, you should just like tell him you're a reporter and like do an interview with him and stuff. And I was like, yeah, how do I do that? And she was like, call his publicist. So I called his publicist.
Wow.
And then I like basically said like, yeah, I'm a local writer. I want to interview Beck.
You weren't with Channel Zero News like the Tupac reporter,
close.
were
I
you?
was with,
Close.
so there was this local paper, hip hop paper called It's a Rap that DJ Johnny O would put out. It looked like it looked like the Source magazine, but it was just like a Cleveland version of the Source magazine.
Yeah.
And I sent them a copy of It's a Rap and said I was this dude, circled a name, but that's my pen name or something. And actually, if I would have probably got the interview, they probably would have used it. So it technically wasn't a lie because I would have, they probably would have printed it, But anyways, the interview never happened, and I just kind of was like to the tour manager, I was like, oh man, they're probably gonna fire me for this because I just kind of said something like that, and then I was just like, well, look, man, since I can't do the interview, can you at least make sure he sees my tape? I'm the USA champion DJ, man. And he was like, all right, I'll make sure he sees the tape because I feel real bad that you don't get to do your interview. And then that was in like July, and then October came, and I was DJing in a club in Akron, and somebody brought Spin Magazine in and wanted me to sign it. And I was like, why? And they were like, because Beck talks about you in this. And I was like, what? And then it's like opened up, and it's like the interviewer was like, Beck's watching a tape of DJ Swamp on the bus, and says that he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to use this guy. And I was like, what? And then
what a way to find out.
Yeah.
I just got to do job.
And then it was maybe a week later, I came home and there was a voicemail from Beck, and he left his phone number. And I was like,
keywords on that voicemail.
Not even voicemail, it was a tape, like
yep.
Voice message
machine,
or answering machine message. That'd be
answering machine, yeah.
That's the correct terminology. And I called the number, and it was answering machine. I left a number, this and that, and tried to call again or whatever. Maybe like 2 weeks later, I finally got him on the phone, and then he basically was just like, yeah, so I want to bring you out here and jam. And I was just kind of like, okay. And I had been working, my job was driving a street sweeper for like 4 years, and it was a great job for your early 20s. I made more money than anybody I
real
knew.
quick, I saw a street sweeper out here in Vegas, and it had a bumper sticker on it and it said, talk dirty to me. So you were street sweeping at the time that Beck reached out to you.
Is that where Swamp came from?
And then
Is that where the name Swamp came from?
That would actually be a good story. This is after he had the name, but that would be a really good story, though. That would be...
he went down to Florida.
Oh, okay.
So did you take a bus to see him, or did you get on a plane?
I got on a plane, first class.
Oh, he late. How long had Beck been out? Had he been out for several years, or was he kind of new coming in, or what? What was his deal?
I think he'd been around for a couple years. His record was almost platinum when I got in contact with him, and then well, anyways, yeah, it was so basically I had to quit my job, and that gave up like everything, like all the like there, because that's the kind of job, like if you quit, you don't get to just come back, like it was, and but it paid off, and I ended up doing that for 4 years, and literally was driving a street sweeper, and a month later performing on the Grammy Awards.
Oh my God!
That's what theater folks do.
Yes, it is. So did you have to do like when you first got to where Beck was at? Did he like kind of want you to, was it like an audition, or was he just like you already got it, or just how did that all go?
I went there super prepared. I mean, I basically went to the store and got every Beck CD, every record, and basically had 5 different options of what I could do to any song that he would pull out. He didn't have such a big catalog then. He only had like 2 or couple albums and like some singles and weird rarity kind of stuff, but I had something for everything, and basically I just snapped right into place when the rehearsals began, and he was like, wow, I've never met anybody so prepared in my life. Like he literally didn't have to ever tell me anything. It was just kind of like, you know, I just did it and it worked.
Dennis is over there looking like, yeah, I was part of that. I was part of that preparation.
Yeah. So that lasted for, you know, 4 years, and then at that point I had came out with a lot of scratch tools.
Was there a reason why that ended after 4 years? I mean, I know Beck kind of went off into a lot of different channels
Beck
in his career.
I just feel like Beck wanted to do other things. You know, he was a folk artist to begin with, who dabbled in hip hop, and the hip hop took off, and then, you know, he kind of went back to folk and tried to do some more party-ish R&B. I don't know what you would call Midnight Vultures, but
I really liked him because he was like an innovator, man. And, you know, I've heard stories of, you know, when Eminem came out, you know, and he kind of got I don't know the word for it, but he was kind of disturbed.
He said it was either Rolling Stone or Spin Magazine, he said Eminem and Kid Rock rap like Ferraris and I rap like a jalopy.
Oh yeah.
And I was.
Do you know what a jalopy is, Super James? He explained it.
What? I said that's like a hoopty.
Yes.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a jalopy was either,
but I wasn't going for that. I was just like, come on, man, you know, I'm like hip hop, you know, but you know, I think
I don't even know why he would put those guys in his category, because he was, you know, even with his raps, he was so different. I mean, it was so along the lines of rock and it was actually kind of like rock and rap.
Yeah, he did
that. I don't see why, like, you know, Eminem just, I believe, was in a total different rap, and obviously Kid Rock too.
He didn't even like how he sounded on Loser. That's why he wrote the verses and then was just like, wow, I suck at rapping. I'm a loser. You know?
He said, "I'm a loser, baby."
That's what happened. I mean, that's kind of that's. I wasn't there.
Was that one of his biggest
what
songs?
I've read and what I've. That's the biggest song.
The biggest song.
Yeah,
okay.
and that was pretty much.
So that's
his
bigger
first
than
song.
I Got Two Turntables and a Microphone.
Much bigger.
Way bigger.
Yeah.
No,
It was also later in the career, so
I remember hearing that song over and over and over.
Yeah.
And didn't he? You know, I think I read he went on to he started dabbling in the Scientology a little bit or something of that nature.
He married a girl who was a Scientologist. His father's Scientologist. He was raised Scientologist. I never saw anything Scientologist about.
Beck was raised as
he was raised a Scientologist,
Oh, wow.
and then but when I was in the group, I didn't know anything about it at all, and I kind of felt like how most of us are raised in religious families. When you get into your 20s, you kind of rebel against what was, you know, you were raised, and you just kind of do your own thing. And we were on the same page, I feel like that. But when he like after I was no longer in the group anymore after 4 years, and he had a couple of records that didn't do as well, they weren't as well received, and you know, he cooled off.
Do you think that's because they were missing the DJ Swamp element?
Yes,
100%.
100%. But I know that he married a girl.
Sugar Mama, right? She
No.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
didn't her dad do something big, or
she's a famous actress named Marissa Ribisi, and she was in the movie Dazed and Confused.
What?
and
she was in the Brady Bunch movie. She's a successful actress, and her brother is Giovanni
he got a sugar mama
who was in Avatar.
I gotta see who she is.
Yeah. Do you have that, Hugh? Do you have that, Hugh?
She's a very nice girl. She invited me to Beck's 40th birthday party, and I have nothing but good things to say about her. She's a very nice person.
Was her father a director? Or
I don't know anything about her father or her family other than her brother Giovanni Ribisi, who's he's a huge A-list actor.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said he was. There's many documented interviews where he was promoting Scientology and saying that he was a Scientologist, but when he left when he got divorced, he said that no, that was all a big misunderstanding. I was never a Scientologist, but That's what he said. That's all I know.
Yeah. So what behind the scenes? I mean, was he a nice guy?
Yes.
Nice
Very
to work
nice, very nice, very generous. I really didn't realize how good I had it because it was my first time ever being on tour. So, oh yeah, everybody gets a huge, tour bus with that's like the best you could possibly get, and everybody gets their own plush hotel suite, and it was really like I got in at a great time. I mean, he was a 4 times, the record that we were promoting, it ultimately went 4 times platinum, and we got treated really well. We got to stay in castles and go perform on the Grammys, David Letterman, Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, Saturday Night Live twice, and the VMAs, everything.
Did you ever see any of
doing.
this, Dennis? Did you
Sure.
did you ever see Swamp on any of this stuff? And yeah.
But I didn't know it was him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
no,
know who
it's-
came to see you dance when we did that thing in '91?
Jane Scott from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, but who else?
People from California came. My board in San Jose was one of the first board members was Steve Wozniak,
What?
founder of Apple.
He was there?
Yeah, he flew out.
Nice.
And he saw that show and he freaked out. He said, "When are we getting this in San Jose?" Well,
Wow.
10 years later we did it, but 8 years
Oh
later.
my God.
But yeah, he came all the time. He introduced me to how to work a computer because he used to watch me on the board putting names by hand.
Wow.
And ledgers of names. And he said, "How do you remember who's what and where?" I said, "Well, you just get used to it after a while." He said, "Why don't you use a computer?" I said, "I don't know how to compute." So he brought me a Macintosh.
Oh,
Oh, I remember
And
those.
he said, "Here, and practice, and here's some discs, and go for it." And then he outfitted the whole office with Macintosh.
Wow.
Holy
And
cow.
he was also
Like
in the ballet. He was in Nutcracker. He was. I made him a supernumerary in the Nutcracker. He was the chestnut vendor.
Wow.
So when you say nut, what did you have to do with the Nutcracker? You were a part
Well,
of it.
everybody has a Nutcracker per se
Yes.
in this country, and I created a Nutcracker for 35 years. 40 years it ran.
Oh my God.
And
Where,
where
that was
between
in San Jose or
Cleveland
between
and San
everything?
Jose.
Wow.
You were doing the back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and we used a lot of people in that, and it ran every year nonstop. But Steve Wozniak, when he came on the board, I had auditions for children, for the little kids, and he loves children, and he always wanted to support children. And also on my board was Walter Lowenstern and his wife Karen Lowenstern. They're the L in the ROM Corporation that made those first telephones for intercoms.
Oh wow.
And Steve Wozniak met Karen, and he said, "Are you the wife of Lowenstern, the guy from ROM?" And she said, "Yeah." And then he said, "He's my biggest fan. I mean, I love that guy. I have his picture over my desk in the garage." And she said, "Well, we came to ask you to sit on our board." He said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to." He came on the board. He paid for the renovation of that theater in order for me to bring larger productions to San Jose, because it was embedded with this shell for the orchestra into the stage with concrete. And I couldn't do anything.
Is San Jose? That's the
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. That's
Yeah,
what I say as a Silicon Valley guy.
It's the most expensive city to live in today.
I
Crazy.
feel you.
So I watched it grow from Little Heck Town to a little house for an airport to this international airport today.
Yeah, why do you think all these people, these big people like the Apple people and stuff like that, why do you think they all went there to Silicon Valley? Like,
It was an innovative place. Everybody was creating. It was a creative force, like Motown became.
yes.
Because the talent was just there. It was free. It was innovative. The spirit, the weather was perfect, and it was cheap at that time. And they bought up land, and the people started innovating, and high tech just took as the headquarters, the center of the world. And all of
that's-
these
that's
companies
the
popped
spot.
up one after another. When I went to San Jose with my company we moved finally in 2000, but we started in 84, 85. And it was, I could have bought a house for $150,000 in the city right there. Now they're millions. You can't touch them. They're not even there. They've moved them. But when in the early days, you couldn't find a closet to rent. It was so hopping.
Oh yeah,
Talk
I
about
know how
clubs.
those people be living in San Francisco. They're
Oh, it's impossible.
like little shoe
San Jose is the
boxes.
most expensive city in the country to live in.
Is it
Yep.
even more than San Francisco?
Practically, yep.
Holy cow!
Yep.
That's actually nuts. So, are you still in contact with Beck today? I mean, when was the last time did you guys ever come across each other again? It's what's weird is I know exactly how you feel. It's like you spend a part of your life with these people, and then it's
Every
like,
day.
and it's kind of like you everybody kind of
Then
like
they
moves
go.
on with their life, and it's like, you're like, wait a minute, didn't we spend a particular time together that I feel like you're gonna always be in contact with that person?
Nobody said it's forever.
No, yeah, no, nobody said it was forever.
It doesn't work.
I just think the last time I talked to him, he just said, I kind of was like, man, when I performed with Beck, I did everything off vinyl. There were no CDJs then. There were no laptops. There was none of that. I did it all
That
live
means no
off
Super
real
James.
vinyl. I did it all real vinyl. I got records pressed. I had acetates. It was all real vinyl, and it was like now nobody would even think to try to do it that way. They just say that's impossible. But I think Beck kind of likes that's what it was when it was. Because when I talked to him, I was just like, man, the kind of things I could do now is just with
Is he still performing? I mean, I think I've seen him, or I think I've seen his name, or
yeah.
in the years.
Yeah.
Is he under a new entity, or is he still out there as Beck?
He's still killing it.
Still killing it. Is it everybody in the group the same except
No,
minus
no
the
one.
nobody got
No one.
all new
He's
people.
gone through thousands, literally thousands of musicians. Literally thousands.
Now, why do you think that's so?
He performed in a Lincoln car commercial with 1,000 musicians.
Oh my God!
Like, you can look that up. 1,000 musicians.
What do you think that is that makes him run through them like that? Like,
Well, his father is the biggest string arranger in like the world or something, like in Hollywood, David Campbell, and he's probably
What is
very-
that? What is a string arranger?
All right. So the Green Day song, "I Hope You Had the Time." That's Beck's dad. You know the Linkin Park song, Beck's dad.
wow.
Evanescence, all that orchestra, Beck's dad.
What?
Wow! So he came from
He's
a music
huge.
family.
He
was just-
played on Marvin Gaye, "What's Going On," and like I'm not sure, but like his credits.
So meaning,
are-
so
he's-
then
he's
Beck
way bigger than Beck.
Beck was born into money then.
Well, I shouldn't say he's way bigger than Beck because it's like you weighing popularity to whatever,
To
but
credits and production rights.
he's very I'm sure he's very influenced by his father. His father works with a lot of musicians. Has worked with a lot of musicians. But he's kind of as big as Beck is, and will be. He's kind of still in this dad's shadow.
Gotcha. I mean, is he still doing the same songs? Is he trying to push like new music?
Yeah,
Like,
people get pissed if he doesn't do "Loser."
well, yeah, no. The thing that I've always found funny, it goes right back to the Vanilla Ice days. Is
I
You
did
know-
all the scratching on his third album. Hard.
well, you
to
kind of look
Swallow.
like him in that video that we saw. You're that tall guy.
Shout
with
out
the-
to Rob Van Winkle.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
I talk to him more than I do Beck.
But yeah, what's crazy is he came to Detroit one time, and I booked him for a show, and he was like, "I'm not gonna do Ice Ice Baby," and I'm like, "What am I like? What are you gonna do?" And he actually went through he went through a phase where he did a rock version of it.
I did the scratching on that rock version. Of it.
Yeah, and he just said, he just was like, I'm over it. I don't want to. He's just like, I don't want to.
Think about how many times he's performed that song. Like,
Yeah,
literally in a couple years.
Well,
like,
that's what I always wonder. Like, there has to be a thing. It's like Beck with the Loser. It's like, do you ever think he gets up there and he's just like, Jesus, I'm singing this fucking
Well,
song for the.
there were definitely shows where he didn't do it, and people were disappointed. And
Yeah, it's like that with every
Everybody.
performer. They're known for something, and you got to do it. It's just
Yeah, something crazy being that Dennis was from Detroit. So when Vanilla Ice came, he was wearing a shirt that said "Fuck Iraq." It was when we were having issues with Iraq, and you know, little to his known, you know, they called Dearborn in Detroit Little Iraq, and he actually got bum rushed and never got to do the show by by the Iraqi. You know, Detroit is known for a lot of Albanians and Chaldeans, we call them, and yeah, they actually beat him up. I guess you would say. Now he didn't. You know, going back to him, he didn't know. He was just supporting the. You know, Iraq was giving the U.S. a lot of problems. He didn't know Detroit was there was an area in Detroit that was all Iraq.
Dearborn,
Dearborn, yes,
the most, the biggest Arabic population.
But you know, like it goes right back. When I think of him, I think of Bone. You know, and it's like even Bone today. You know, when I've seen them, you know, they're always working on new stuff. But it's like that sound. When that sound is gone, it's gone. And it's like people. They're always going to want to hear your hits. They're not really interested in what you got new.
Right.
So, you know, it's just like there was a time for that music with Vanilla Ice, but I'm just like, you know, same thing. It's like you killed it, you know, and you should be very proud of that. And I'm like, you know, I hate to, you know, see when people just get tired of like doing the same.
The thing that made them who they are.
From my perspective, because I was younger, like that's the fucking dopest time music was going on.
I mean, dude, he was with MC Hammer. That was my first that was my, just for the record, that was the first concert I ever went to in my life was Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer. Oh. And it was
No, I'm not talking about Vanilla Ice. I'm talking about Beck.
Oh, Beck.
I'm talking about that little era of music around then, because even there was like Fatboy Slim around that time.
Yeah.
I mean, just all kinds of different music with like rock and DJing.
Mm-hmm.
Even like Limp Bizkit had a DJ in their rock band.
Yeah, what was Limp Bizkit's DJ name?
DJ Lethal.
Lethal, oh yeah, because
House of Pain.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's what made everybody want to check out Limp Bizkit because, or like book them on shows. Oh yeah, the DJ from House of Pain's got a rock band.
Yeah, I think I know a crew in Detroit who had a problem with Mr. DJ Lethal. I don't know what the problem was, but. There was something. So when you split from Beck, did you try? You know, did you look to other things? I mean,
no,
did you?
I was hot then. There were so many things I was turning down because I was committed to Beck and touring with Beck. It was like I was getting offers for movies. Like I could have been in the movie Dogma, but I couldn't do it because we were going on tour in Europe, and a lot of things like that. So when it ended at like a good time because okay, now I can do this, you know, and I did, you know, I probably wouldn't have been in the movie Clock Stoppers if I was busy with Beck, or I wouldn't have ended up in some documentaries. I wouldn't have done as many.
What was I forgot whose music video you told me one time you were in. I think you've been in multiple videos, but what was
we were
one?
talking about Carmen Electra.
Yeah.
But I've been in a lot of people's music videos.
Yeah, you've said some funny ones to me.
Been in Ministry music videos, been in this group OPM. I've been in a lot of people's music videos. I was in Beck music videos. I was the drummer in the Sex Laws video, but playing trash cans with big wrenches because I was gonna be in the video anyway, but then the drummer was sick and didn't show up, and they were just like, "Swamp, you're the drummer now." So I had to sit there beating with like literally real wrenches, like, you know, all day long beating on the drums. But wow. I think I'm the thumbnail on YouTube for Sex Laws video. Beck. Wow, and Jack Black was in that video too, and
Jack Black,
also,
where did he go?
Yeah.
Oh, Jack Black's killing it.
Yeah.
And then fun fact, the beginning skit with Jack Black and some other guys in the Sex Laws video, one of them is Neil Strauss, who wrote many rock books, including The Game.
Oh.
You know The Game?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote The Game.
I'm from Detroit. We don't read books.
What
is that?
It was a book on picking up women.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's him.
That's him?
Dude wrote The Game.
Before he shaved his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he was a breakdancer.
And this is Jack Black right here.
That's Jack Black.
Jack Black. Yeah.
Before he really blew up.
Is there any shows or events or anything that you can think back on that you passed up that you really regret, or think that you would have helped you in any other way
Hey,
besides being
I
on
can
tour?
tell you right off right now, you regret not going with Eminem.
Yeah.
Or actually, or Kid Rock. You know.
I don't regret the Kid Rock thing because, I don't really regret either of them because it would have meant quitting Beck at a time when Beck was bigger.
Yeah, no, you definitely wouldn't.
And
I think
just
you made
couldn't
the
have
right.
no one could have predicted Eminem, and I definitely didn't. I think I wouldn't have been as happy with Kid Rock as I was with Beck.
Yeah.
I was really happy with the credibility, and I was really happy with the music, and I was really learning a lot from the people that were around him and that kind of thing.
How many people were involved with Beck? Like, how many people were actually in the group?
I mean, it was always changing, you know.
Yeah.
But at one point, I was in the longest, like for 4 years. I was in there longer than everybody except the bass player, who was only in there a little bit longer than me.
Now, those people from the start, I mean, are they part of royalties? I mean, from being in the original Beck?
I don't think so.
No, it
Yeah.
just goes on. What is? Oh man,
That's me playing the wrenches and the. Yeah.
man! Every time I see a picture of Swamp, he looks different,
Right?
Jeez.
Like the swoopy
Now, what
head.
about music-wise, man? About like your scratch records and some of the music you put out on
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah.
Speak on that.
Well, I invented the skip-proof scratch tool that now
I still have some of those.
Yeah, now any record that's made like a scratch tool, everybody is, copied that formula
Right.
that I came up with when I was 17 years old. I came up with the idea when I was 17 years old. I wasn't able to execute it till I had the money when I was 25 and made a bunch of money.
You sat on that idea that long.
Well, it was more like I thought somebody else was going to do it.
And it just
come
never
with a
happened.
skip-proof record like that, and
Yeah.
then nobody ever did it. And then I finally had the money to experiment and do it myself. And at first, people just thought it was, they didn't understand it and stuff
Right.
like that. It was more like when everybody started copying it.
Then,
I'm like
yeah.
everybody's like favorite DJ's worst nightmare. But
Yeah.
like as far as they so when they started copying it, that's when everybody was like,
Now we
that
get it.
dude has ideas, you know.
You were
And-
thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and then I came out with like guitar tone records and loop, lock groove, drum and bass records, and I've got new ones coming out too, new ideas. I'm still thinking of ideas. They're still coming to me, and I'm still, I got a lot of ideas. I'm still.
Do you
I'm still
feel
doing
like
stuff.
do you feel like today you're just as passionate as you were back then, as far as music and wanting to get out there and do shows and?
Well, there was been times where I was burnt out, but lately I'm very passionate about it. It's like, I know how things get, and when things slowed down this year because of the pandemic, I had been going nonstop for 25 years. There wasn't a time when I didn't know I had a show next week or next month I got 3 shows. I never took a break like I'm just no shows this year or no shows for 6 months. I never did that.
Yeah.
I was always going. It took a worldwide plague to like make me chill out for a minute. And
Yeah.
so I kind of like I didn't mind it being slow, but at the same time it gave me chances to do other things, write songs, and do a lot of things.
So how about being in 2021 and the way the landscape, obviously music has changed a lot. Is there any artist out there right now that you would be like, you know what, I would DJ for him? Any of these young cats that are in the game right now?
Well, I was supposed to DJ for Ghostmain, and I was excited about that. I mean, it was like I was in ministry. I have the text messages. We went back and forth, and he was all into it, and I was, at least gonna scratch on some of his songs. I was sure that it would probably lead to me touring with him and things, and I had met him, and it was cool. But I mean, I caught him when he was like really like nobody at the time. I mean, I wouldn't say nobody, but before he got mega huge like now. And I don't know, his number got changed or whatever, and he just became unaccessible.
What about like like a lot of these people that I see today? I guess they're referred to as mumble rappers. It's really hard for me to get a grip on it. But like, what would you do? Say let's say a Little Pump came to you and said, "Hey, DJ Swamp, I want you as my DJ." Would you would you be opposed to this young?
Depends on if I have anything better to do or not. If I don't have anything better to do,
Might as well.
Absolutely. I've never, like I said, I never took a break, never stopped. If I don't have anything better to do.
It's funny with your vibe. Like when I'm sitting here looking at you, I was sitting here trying to run these names through my head. I'm like, I could see this guy with Post Malone.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because, this is the thing with Post Malone. He came out and he kind of affiliated himself with this mumble rap, and then we actually saw him at Coachella a few years ago, and that's when I realized like outside of, I don't even know why he affiliated himself with mumble rap, but he's actually a really good musician. Like, I mean, he plays a lot of instruments, but I'm like, I feel like your vibe would be good with somebody like that if it was to come to fruition. And I feel like Post Malone is definitely an artist that thinks outside of the box. So I think you need to send somebody a tape or something. Get to the thing. Or
I mean, what was it? There was some mixtape he had out when he first came out. There was a mixtape. It wasn't the album, but it was a mixtape. And there was a song on there I liked a lot, and I played it when I was doing the Burning Man radio show, because I did Burning Man radio for 5 years out on the playa. And I remember playing that on my show, and people probably didn't even know what it was or anything like that, but I don't even remember which song it was, but it was good. Like, I was definitely a fan of that song. And it wasn't like, I wasn't necessarily a fan of White Iverson.
Yeah,
but,
no, for sure.
But I don't put anything past anybody. And I'm not anti mumble rap. I don't even know what mumble rap is. To me, it's all like, it's all music, and it makes sense to me. It's just there are plenty. The song "Copy Me" by Migos. I love that. Murder Beats production, awesome. Have nothing bad. And DJ Durrell, who DJs for the Migos from Cleveland, and when I met him, he had nothing but love for me. So I have more than the most respect for the quote unquote kings of mumble rap.
Kings of mumble rap. It's just an era. What do you got over there, Domo?
Well, I want to talk about your magic tricks in the fire that you add to your DJing.
Right on. Well, in 2014, I got to rock the Magic Castle in Hollywood, and that was a total honor and unbelievable experience to have got to do that. I'd always kind of I'd been doing the fire for a long time, but like the magic kind of took off in 2010. I just and a lot of it was when I came in 2011 when you got me the residency at the Palms Casino out here, and I just, for whatever reason, fell into a whole clique of magicians out here.
Well, that's what's crazy. It's like I think to myself, I remember you telling me back then, you're like, I'm always, you're always like, it seems like you're always trying to reinvent or keep it interesting. And it's like, I feel like a lot of these DJs, they just get into the same groove, the same thing, and they're going, and it's like, why aren't they thinking outside the box? Like, why aren't they thinking how can I hone this craft? Or so like when you added fire and magic, I mean, it just takes it to a whole nother level. Like,
is that pyro? Is that what kind?
Is it called pyrotechnic?
Some things would be considered pyro, and some would be considered not, but they're still fire.
No, I remember. So I had a guy who used to do all the bookings at my club in Detroit, and he was really outside of the box. And he came to me and he's like, "Hey man, I got this guy DJ Swamp, and he's gonna light some shit on fire in the club." And I didn't even, at the time I was like, "Cool," and the
fire marshal arrives.
Yeah. Hey,
Exactly.
Listen, everybody can be paid off in the city of Detroit back then.
When you scratch, do you look to do the same every time, or is it different every time? Do you improvise?
Well, some things you hope are the same every time, and some things you kind of want. you want to.
You feel the moment.
You want to evolve.
Yeah.
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 So Super James. So your era. Were you familiar with DJ Swamp?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I still have those scratch proof records at the
Skip
house.
proof.
The skip proof.
Who labeled it skip proof? I mean,
I labeled it skip proof, and then other people is more commonly known as skipless. But that's like, you know.
But how were you that confident that it wasn't going to skip? I mean, what was?
It's impossible.
It's the same sound, the same sample, in a straight line, no matter how much.
So if the needle skips, it's gonna
You're on
land
the
in the
same
same
sound.
exact spot. No
Yeah.
matter
Oh,
what.
wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad we got that out of the way because I was sitting there thinking the whole time. I saw your record. It said scratch proof that you had yesterday.
It's
and
not scratch proof, skip proof.
skip proof. Skip
If
proof.
there was scratch
I
proof,
started-
there'd be
Yeah.
no point.
But yeah, I mean,
There was a couple. You had a couple of. How many did you put out?
Like 20.
Yeah, there's a roll of them.
Yeah.
So was that
And I'm
was
still coming out. A new one coming out. Wearing My Mask EP. It's a 7-inch. Hopefully we do 12-inch too. We're working out that deal. But
yeah,
there's
besides
gonna
the
be-
scratch stuff, you
there's
had
gonna be
music.
Scratching. It's well, those are songs, but there's also scratch tools on it as well.
Really?
Just like my last 7-inch that was
Yeah.
3D.
yeah. Make
3D
sure you guys
cover.
all check out the "Wearing My Mask" video by DJ Swamp.
Yeah.
It's his newest.
And get the Wearing My Mask EP at djswamp.com, or it's on Spotify and iTunes now. And it's a 4-song EP. And the 7-inch, when it comes out, it's going to have a lenticular cover on it and some extra bonus things that aren't on the digital platforms and the scratching tools.
There you
Always
go,
thinking
Super.
above.
That's what I
There's a
said.
video
You
right
gotta,
there.
you gotta.
Yep.
This is the "Wearing My Mask" video.
Yep. That was one of the fastest songs and videos I ever made, and I think it was my best video.
Who
so
was
far.
the that's an interesting looking guy. Who was the guitar player?
Angel Nightmare?
Angel Nightmare.
Yep. Angel Nightmare is the lead singer of the death metal band Midnight Nightmare, and he's also the guitar player for a very popular band called Dawn of Ashes. But
Yeah.
he's also a frequent collaborator with me and co-produced my whole EP. And yeah,
Can he break dance?
no.
What about you? How long has it been since you done a head spin?
You know what? I was in whenever we did. I have a song called Mind Control that I shot in Denver, and I was doing it then. I was nowhere near as good as I used to be, but I did do it, and people were like, they couldn't believe
Tripping
it.
out like, yo,
No, we were-
That was probably less than 10 years ago.
We were talking last night after the show, and I was, we were talking about the head spin, and I think you mentioned to me, you're like, yeah, I thought about going out there and trying it, just like, and I'm like, oh, I don't.
It's
I
got to
don't-
be worth it. It's
Listen,
got to be in a
listen,
situation where it's
man.
really
Well,
worth
Back in
it.
2011.
No, like you were when we were talking last night. I was like, you ever think about just busting that out or whatever? And I don't know what you said, but it was
The mind
funny.
is willing, the body is
No,
not.
yes, yeah, because I'm like,
I'm sure.
I don't even think I can do a handstand, let alone a head spin.
You hurt yourself really bad.
Oh yeah, for sure. Domo, look like you got all kinds of stuff wrote down over there. What do you got going on over there?
It was just topics
Top,
today.
what type of topics? what is your crazy topic for the day?
So Lady Gaga's the dog snatcher.
Oh yeah.
The dog walker, he survived.
Oh yeah.
Shot
He
him how
wrote
many
a
times?
statement today.
They shot him
two,
a couple times.
two,
Couple
I
times.
think.
Hey, what I thought about that?
Yeah.
So Lady Gaga's dog walker actually got what do you call it? Robbed.
Rob of the dogs.
and shot. And I mean, all I heard in the headlines was that Lady Gaga was offering a $500,000 reward for the return of her dog.
Yes,
But I'm like, but what about the walker?
What about the
I
walker?
know.
How's he
Well,
getting?
I'm sure she's paying his bills.
So how did
and
she get her dogs back?
Some lady found them in an alley.
Hey,
just
and you know
randomly.
what?
Yeah.
Hey, and you know what? The FBI is researching
Oh,
that
I'm
lady.
for
Who's
sure.
her brother, cousin, dad?
it's
like,
gonna come back somehow, some way. You don't.
Somebody.
That's
That was a
crazy.
hit.
That-
That was the setup.
I said whoever gets that return is going to get taken down for that crime.
Yeah,
Because
money's not
they're
gonna-
turn that into
That's
a
probably why she
Hollywood
offered that, because she knows whoever gives them
Yeah.
back is gonna be part of it. She'll get that money back.
yeah,
but
but
he goes, yeah, we won. You got your babies back. It's like, what the fuck? You just got hit for a dog?
yeah,
Loyalty.
hey, I'll tell you one thing.
Oh.
Is she an out of LA?
Yeah, Yeah. of
LA
course,
LA
of
walking
course.
and dog walking is very serious business. Those people mean business with them
But,
dogs.
Speaking
People
of
get-
magic, Tom Cruise does magic tricks on TikTok.
See, we gotta see this.
So
Yeah,
is he going through a phase? Is he,
Uh,
going,
he's-
he goes
he's
through his
definitely-
phases where he's
Check-
just on
check
another
out his
planet.
skills.
I said ever since he slid across the floor in his underwear and socks on Risky Business, he's yeah. I mean, what's funny is like he's such a big actor, and I feel like when people are on that level, that they never leave that acting lifestyle. And when I
His
saw this,
laugh is creepy as fuck.
yeah,
He's
Well, that's talking about a performer repeating themselves or doing the same thing.
Right.
The audience
Yeah.
wants to see it.
Right.
Hey,
you
if
got
it
any?
works, it works.
Did you got any volume on that, Hugh?
It's the real thing. I mean,
he looks the same.
it's all the real thing. What's up, TikTok? You guys
Volume
cool if I
down.
play some sports? I love it.
Put that volume down a little.
More for the audio experience. As much as the momentum. Hey, listen up, sports and TikTok fans. If you like what you're seeing, just wait till what's coming next.
Jesus. I don't know about that.
Wow.
I don't know,
When
man.
was the magic?
Yeah, I don't know what the last one had anything to do with
The
anything,
first
but
one was more of the magic
Yeah,
trick.
that
but I
wasn't
guess
a very
he's-
good
I
trick.
guess he's
No.
doing like these little creepy videos.
It's a deep fake. That's not actually him.
Oh,
That's
well, there
Deep
you go.
fake.
That's
Yeah,
the
what
story.
is
Because
a
it
deep
looked
Oh,
fake?
really?
kind of
So
fake.
it's a computer program that'll take existing images and place it over somebody else's face. So
Really?
it's-
I
that was pretty good though.
I was
That was pretty
yeah,
good.
that just turned a page, but I was like,
Whoa.
What's the point?
I
of that?
didn't think Tom Cruise though would do something so
Yeah,
kind
like,
of tacky a little bit for an A-lister to do. Swamp was looking like he can't fuck with me on the magic.
He's still trying to figure out where the magic was.
Yeah, they're actually.
What did you just make me watch?
That was I just dropped the coin trick.
well, it was
Yeah.
trending today on Twitter, so everybody was talking.
So
about
you're
it.
saying that wasn't even Tom Cruise? You?
Nope.
Oh,
I could see
Wow,
what it
okay.
looked like.
that just took it to another level.
I'm giving him his
Okay,
street
now
credit
I'm-
back a little bit because that really.
How can you tell?
No, that's just true.
That's
Yeah.
why it was trending, is because the technology's progressed so much
I see.
that it's
That really
becoming
did look
harder
like
and harder
him.
to differentiate
That was
what's
good.
real and what's fake.
So you don't need people anymore to make movies.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what you were
That-
just saying, Swamp? We were talking about it. You were saying that there was a program that you could type stuff in and it would actually sing it for you, and you feel like that's what's gonna.
Yeah, I mean it's not quite there, but I do see the future of being able to do that, and you just
Like
You
no
wanna
vocalist at all.
make Michael Jackson be your backup singer, make Mariah Carey the lead singer of your
Oh
song
my
or whatever.
God.
You know, just
So that's gonna
it's
be a
definitely
mess.
it's definitely coming. It's probably already here, just not readily available to
Yeah.
anybody. but-
Imaging too. I mean, even Michael, they had him on his show here. It looked like it was Michael on the stage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they did. I
It was the
remember.
best part.
Yeah,
It was the
yeah,
best
yeah,
part of
yeah.
the show,
Right, right.
and it wasn't him. It was a
Yeah.
hologram.
Tupac hologram.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was
All
it.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
What was it though? Oh yeah, I don't think that was computer. I think that was makeup. I think that was that looked like a prosthetic kind of face thing or whatever. They might have like filtered it some too.
Looked
but
pretty good.
it
Yeah,
did
no, it
look
was
Yeah.
good.
That's
Yeah, I would have
really
never,
good.
I would have never guessed that.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I definitely look. It definitely. I thought it was Tom Cruise, but with some weird stuff on his face.
Think I
But,
can get some head spinners like that?
Tom Cruise head spinning.
Tom Cruise head
Yeah, actually, sure.
You could probably
Sure.
do that.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. Is there any artists out there that you want to collab with? Like if you had the chance to collab with them, Super James like Baby Bash.
I don't know. I kind of stopped wishing because sometimes they disappointed me when it happened.
That's the
And,
worst.
Yeah, so I'm happy to collaborate with most people. That if it's good and or something that's
Like
at
an equal
least.
exchange of value.
Yeah, something like I mean, I've been on everything from Kid Rock to Katy Perry and stuff like that, and
You weren't in
I
the
was
fireworks song, were you?
I
I'm just
think
kidding.
that album,
Baby, I'm a firework.
I was on her first single called "You're So Gay." I did scratching on that song. And,
Where has Katy Perry been, by the way?
She had a baby.
Oh, she
Yeah,
did.
she had a
Oh,
baby.
okay.
She's hiding
She's in
out.
the Illuminati,
And,
man. She's all up in there.
Yeah.
That mix.
And then I'm looking at your shirt. Who's this designer, Domo? And
Oh.
I'm seeing the Marlboro Man, and I'm thinking of
Okay.
Camel cigarettes. I mean, not the Marlboro Man. I'm thinking of the.
So this is my friend James Wild XO. She's a street artist in LA. So she sent me some shirts. So it's supposed to make you feel an emotion.
Did it make you feel an emotion?
Yeah, you noticed it.
I
Like,
did
what
notice that.
wearing
I was just looking at your shirt, and I'm like, where did that come from? So, street artists in L.A. LA. Why is everything
Check her
cool? Everything cool comes from L.A.
Because they got style, they got vibe.
Just because they're from LA.
Yeah. You got any other
yeah, but
trendy?
everything in LA cool came from somewhere else.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
just copied it. changed it
Detroit
a
or
little bit.
Cleveland.
Everybody in LA,
Detroit's pretty cool.
everybody just tries to. It's like a magnet for a lot of
Sure.
things. And then at the same time, the people who grew up there, they can't wait to like move to New York or somewhere else different.
It's a big vicious
somewhere
circle.
they haven't spent their whole life in, and they're like, "Oh, it's not like it used to be when I was a kid." You know, so they go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Dennis, did you like
Still, huh?
Detroit or Cleveland? What was your city of
Well, I
choice?
grew up in Detroit, and then I left and went to New York, and then I moved to Cleveland.
I feel like I hear a little New York in your accent.
Yeah, I lived
Did
in
you-
New York about 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah, you definitely pick it up in that
Yep,
time.
I got it.
And then we were in Cleveland, and then I went from Cleveland to San Jose. And now Las
Some
Vegas.
big changes right there.
Yeah. How did you?
that's
Yeah. How did
nice.
you
It's
end up?
actually
What
very-
was that? How did you end up here in Vegas? It was just.
I have a warehouse that I purchased and store because warehouse facilities were far few in between in the Silicon Valley. I had a huge warehouse outside of San Jose, close to Sacramento, but that was a 2.5-hour drive because it was the only place I could rent that was 190,000 square feet for hundreds of productions. And then when all that collapsed or moved away, it got moved to another warehouse, and now it's going somewhere else down south in California. But I had so much stuff that I looked all over the country for another place to store stuff. And lo and behold, Las Vegas seemed to be the best place for me at the time because I could get here quickly from San Jose. Well, the drive, if I was driving, became tired after a while. And since I had to move, or I was planning to move out of San Jose when I left my company, we said, let's move to Las Vegas. And I love it.
Yeah, I love
Right.
Vegas
And I'm
too.
9 miles from my warehouse, so I can get to work every day without.
In that warehouse, do you think it's a bunch of clips like that DJ Swamp would be looking for somewhere in that warehouse?
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Those tights I was wearing.
Those are still there too. Those clothes are still hanging around.
Yep. It's too bad the Hard Rock left, or we could have put
I know.
we could have put DJ. I still can't believe the Hard Rock is leaving.
I can't believe it either.
It's
That was such a staple to me when I moved here in '05. Like that was the spot, and
Yeah.
and it's like we're like I wonder like what are they doing with all these artists outfits, and I mean did they do an auction?
Yeah,
did they
they
like
did.
what
Well,
they
the
did?
company,
They
the
had
company
the
Hard Rock, they move those around to like all their properties.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
stuff
okay.
But I
like
think
that,
they
so-
were doing an auction.
Yeah, they sold some of the lesser valued stuff. And the high
Oh,
profile
yeah.
stuff got shifted to their other
I'm
Yeah,
sure the
just put 'em
Elvis
other places.
estate came and pulled all that stuff. too.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, they don't own all of it. A lot of it's just loaned out from the estates. But yeah, that's gonna be weird not having that anymore.
Yeah, the Hard. Yeah, even though I mean from what I've seen, this company Virgin,
Yeah.
they've done a great job. I
It
mean,
looks amazing.
yeah, I mean, it already
Their
looked,
flights.
that new tower at the Hard Rock already looked beautiful, but I mean, what they've done to the outside of the building is pretty incredible. So I'm expecting, still won't be. I
Things
don't.
are of value to people if you can use them, and if there's
yes.
if there's a reason for them. I mean, it's like most theater companies around the country haven't been open and have lost their everything and can't stay open, but they have an inventory of art, either sculptures or artworks or productions, drops that are beautifully painted that are worth a lot of money, or artists, famous artists that made costumes. And so all of that stuff is on the auction block a lot. being sold because they just can't, either one, they can't use them, or two, they will never use them again.
They're not going to reopen.
They're not going to be open to use them. They don't have the clientele anymore. So those things are gone. It's like a bygone. Even when they were tearing down the theaters in Cleveland, remember the Hippodrome Theater on Euclid Avenue? It was bigger than the Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah.
And they started tearing that thing down, and I freaked when they were bullying the bulldozer in there. And I ran in. I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "We're tearing down this place. It's going to be a parking lot." And I said, "Well, can I get those chandeliers and can I get those released before you smash them?" She said, "You better hurry up and get them if you want them."
You got to beat the
Because
bulldozer.
the bulldozer coming. And I said, "Well, don't smash them. I'll be right back." I went and got my car and some towels and came and wrapped things up. And
Wow.
she said, "You got to pay for them." And I said, "Well, how much you want?" She said, "I want $1 for each one." So I gave her like $50 for 50 pieces that I put on the
Wow.
stage in the performance at the Playhouse.
Huh.
And
Are
I
they
said,
closing-
these ornaments are from the famous Hippodrome Theater.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Are they closing theaters because it's like they're not giving enough funding?
Well, yeah,
for them?
there's no audience. Nobody can go to the theaters anymore. I mean, you know, some theaters are open. There's a 2,000-seat house, for instance, 500 people, because
Yeah.
you got to space them.
Can't even
Well,
cover your overhead.
how do you do a
Yeah.
performance
Yeah.
with 35, 40 people on the stage and 500 people in the theater? And you can't pay for anything, but it's funding. So if you're
Yeah.
funded, and they get funded from the state or the government, then they pay people, because that's what they do. They just pay the people to keep working. But then you got to redo the productions because you got to be social distanced on the stage. How do you dance with
How
a
do you
mask
do
on your
that?
face?
Yeah.
That
Oh,
looks
no.
terrible because you really can't emote, can't show anybody anything. And so I don't know. I don't know where it's going. They're doing performances outdoors. And you know they're getting parking. You park your car like a drive-in, and you
Oh,
look at
yeah.
you look like
Drive-through
the stage and you
concerts.
stay in your car and you watch. There's no audience participation per se anymore. It's a
Changes
whole
the whole
different way to
vibe.
go.
Yeah, I'm a big UFC fan. I mean, any sport, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know, in stadiums, even for football and stuff, that crowd makes such a difference
Oh,
in
makes the game
momentum.
or breaks the game.
I can't
And
imagine
it-
playing in a football stadium empty.
Well, even like UFC, I mean, like you're fighting another guy, and there's like no
Nobody
audience,
there.
nobody
No
to
energy, no
to
energy.
shift the energy. It's
Yeah.
just weird.
Did you see that interview with Poirier on Rogan?
No.
Because he was asking him like, how did you feel about going into the octagon against Connor? And he's like, honestly, he's like, it was a breeze. He's like, because normally I'm not having all these crazy people like yelling at me.
All the crazy Irish
saying
people.
you're gonna die and all shit like that.
Yeah.
So he said it was really easy.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of, you know, especially for fighters, I'm sure a lot of people get anxiety, so to
Yeah.
You
not
can't-
have them.
It's hard to perform for air.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody
Right.
out there clapping or responding to what you're doing, so you have no idea where you are as a performer. You're lost.
I'm seeing that now, you know, everybody, especially with the DJs and stuff, everybody's live streaming.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, it's so hard to get in the groove when you're not performing to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I see them do it, you know, and they, and they're trying, you know, everybody's doing the best that they can right now,
Sure.
but
Just to stay in shape.
just
Yeah.
to stay
Even,
relevant.
like Joey Diaz, he does like comedy. He was doing it live stream, but he's like, I don't want to do it no more because
You
it
doesn't- you
doesn't.
can't.
It's
It's
frustrating.
not the same
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah. No, you got to play your audience
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so
But on UFC, Nate Diaz just masked it all.
oh, speaking of Nate Diaz, Nate and Nick Diaz, Nick Diaz has a new tequila out. Can you get a zoom on this, Hugh? It's called Haze. Everybody knows that's here. This is definitely Diaz country in this studio. So it's kind of crazy that he actually came out with a tequila. Haven't tried it yet, but we will
Can you
be.
get it anywhere?
You know what? I don't know. His partner was supposed to bring us some more today, and he didn't get here. But I'm assuming that they're distributing it
I'm sure.
everywhere. But
They said their headquarters is here.
yeah. So shout out to them for this Haze.
But when you buy
tequila.
it, the bottle is full, right?
the bottle, yeah.
Someone thought they were slick. And
So they gave it to me, and like I said, I was gonna hang it as a memento. And I came in here last night, and I'm like, who the hell took a drink out of the bottle? And it was the Spark Girl. She was like, I just did a couple shots. I was like, oh,
Looks great.
but I was like,
Try it.
but you know what? I was like, why did you only bring us one bottle? Like, what? You know, you should have brought us a case to start.
You have any mementos we can hang of you, Swamp?
I gave him the
Records?
posters. I got some
Yeah,
records. Oh yeah, you
Okay.
got. We put the broken burned record on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so we always tell people, man, please bring us stuff. We
Yeah.
like to put
And
little
if you could sign it.
odd
Right on.
odd things around the studio, but it was great having you guys. We're gonna wrap this
Pleasure.
up
So much
today.
you guys
Having
for
me.
coming
Dennis,
in.
thank you so much. That was crazy
Yeah.
that you guys could connect and this could
Yeah.
happen because
It's
it really
amazing.
adds to the story. It really
Yeah.
adds.
Hey, it kind
Life
of
is wonderful.
like it was funny because
Thank you for coming.
what was funny was it's like I had that feeling like on Springer when they're just like bring them out, and it's like you don't know what,
No one's coming.
and it's funny because just subconsciously you wonder. And I mean, I think in the 3 days we were discussing this, he asked me probably 10 to 15 times like, do you think he's gonna come? And I was like, if he said he was coming, he's coming. I said somebody from Detroit, they're not gonna say they're coming and not come. So I'm like, I'm pretty confident he's gonna come. But yeah, I mean that's a very interesting thing to reconnect with somebody. I was telling Swamp yesterday, I can't even name a teacher I had. Let alone connect
It's
with
an
them.
amazing turn of events.
Yes.
How
So
things happen and then where they wind up and
yeah, well,
the spinning that you go through in life, and look what he's doing.
I know.
So proud.
I know.
It's amazing.
yep. So
Wonderful.
Thanks.
all right. Well, thank you guys for coming through.